Hey people, it's Friday, November the 27th, which is my sister's birthday, and it is 12:53 in the afternoon, and I'm here at the foot of George Street, the southern end of George Street, in the St. Lawrence neighborhood. And for this walk, I'll be walking the length of George Street, which is an interesting street in a lot of ways because for most of its length it's a perfectly pleasant street on the east side of downtown, but in its final block it's arguably the worst street in the city of Toronto. And once we get to that block, maybe you'll see what I'm talking about. But the block of George Street between Dundas and Gerrard is like a completely different world from the rest of the street. So this will be a pretty short walk because George Street is not a very long street. So we're just coming up to the Esplanade here. I did a walking down the length of the Esplanade in one of my recent videos. It's one of the more, grand looking streets in the downtown area. Fairly mild today. I think we're supposed to get up to about 7 Celsius. And it's not very windy, which is always good. So as you can see, George Street is mainly residential in nature. Like somebody's getting taken away in an ambulance, but they seem to be conscious and alert, so it doesn't seem like it's too serious. That's right, pigeons, get out of the road. We are crossing Front Street. So ready to get that great view. Looking towards the financial district with the Flatiron Building and the CN Tower. Yeah, this part of George Street is actually very nice. But once you spend time walking around Toronto, you come to realize that things can change pretty drastically, almost from one block to the next in some neighborhoods. It's looking west on King Street. I think I'll just go. Up ahead, George Street gets interrupted by Moss Park, but then it picks up again on the other side of the park. And that's where things start to take a turn for the worse once you get to the other side of the park. I like these little glimpses of the financial district that pop up between buildings when you're walking along. Here we are at Adelaide Street. Got some great old historic buildings here. I think Toronto's very first post office is one of these buildings right over here. These date from the mid-19th century in some cases. Also for a new 39-story residential tower. And I believe that proposal will retain this historic old warehouse building. Alright, now we're crossing Richmond Street. And this is a bit of a landmark for the neighborhood. This is the George Street Diner. This place was featured in a movie that starred Harry Potter. Well, the guy who played Harry Potter. For some reason his name is escaping me right now. But you know who I'm talking about. And it also starred Adam Driver. The movie was called The F Word. There was a scene where they were hanging out in the George Street Diner. Right, it's crossing Queen Street, and this is where George Street gets kind of halted. As you can see, it technically passes through here at the Moss Park Armory, but that section is not open to the public. There's this handy little walkway. And this is Moss Park. As you can see, quite a few tents have sprung up in this park. There's some of the high-rise apartments geared towards low-income residents. Aren't these the monsters from Pac-Man? That's what they look like to me. Wow, one of those tents over there is huge. So here we are at Shooter Street. This is where George Street continues. We're walking north, by the way. I don't know if I already mentioned that. And it's still not so bad along this block. It's relatively normal downtown residential block. Got some fairly new buildings. This here is a pretty new building, actually. And this hotel is being torn down, actually, to be replaced with some taller condo buildings, more in line with these ones in terms of height. And here's Dundas Street, and this is where George Street takes a very sudden turn, you could say. Here's the famous Fillmore's Hotel and strip club. This is actually a cool old building, and there's a proposal here to redevelop this site as well, but this old hotel will be retained at the base of this tower. You can see the triangle shaped building at the very bottom. That's the old Fillmore's Hotel, 46 stories. Police cars are a common sight on this block of George Street. These old buildings have seen better days. This block is slated to be redeveloped with a new shelter for the homeless. Up ahead is Seaton House, which is the largest homeless shelter in the city. But it's old and past its prime, so there's plans to demolish it and replace it with a new facility. Oh, nobody bothered me, so that's good. You never know who will take offense to your camera in certain parts of town, where people might be up to things that maybe they shouldn't be up to. And it's, you know, it's getting close to winter, it's colder. In the summertime, this street is quite active with all kinds of interesting characters. Or this block, at least. That's what I meant. And here we have reached Gerrard Street. And that is the end of George Street. So, I hope you enjoyed this relatively short walk along George Street. From the very pleasant southern end to the not so pleasant northern end. If you did, please by all means subscribe, like, share, comment, tell your friends and your family too. And be sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. I've been posting daily as of late, but I'll definitely post at least every other day. And keep checking back because, as always, I will continue.